Okay, I think we're good.
Go. Testing 1 2. Can you hear me?
So first of all, congrats to us, I guess.
Hell yeah.
That's some intense fighting.
Got 2 teams fully clearing BWL. Feels real good.
Yeah, and you mentioned this only first guild with two team.
To my
That clear.
knowledge, we're the only Horde guild that has 2 teams fully clearing right now. I know at one point Crimson did,
Mm-hmm.
but I think at this point in time we are the only.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty exciting, and it's kind of nice that we cleared it like what, less than 5 hours.
If you don't include the time we took for breaks, it was about 4 hours.
4 hours. So I couldn't believe we one shotted like the Nefarian and the most of the boss area. The only thing that we had trouble is Chromagus, really.
Yeah, Cro-Mag was the only bad one.
Yeah.
Really.
And it's kind of implied when we get to Veil that it's like more likely that we're gonna wipe a few times. I think that's like a given.
Yeah, eventually they'll get it to the point where they can just one-shot that one too.
Depending on really like the way that he would pick burning adrenaline, or that doesn't really matter.
Not really. As long as you can keep the main tank alive and everybody handles threat, once we get some good DPS on that bad boy, he'll probably die before the first tank dies. The first tank will still usually die to burning adrenaline, but we'll see.
I see. Yeah, it seems like a lot of players have treated Vale like he's the
Yeah.
he's like the most crazy boss in BWL. It's like you pretty much have to wipe on him.
Unfortunately, but personally, I think the hardest boss in there is the first Loot Pinata Dragon, Firemaw.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It seems like after Firemaw, Chromagus is more like a, I don't know. He's kind of tough because he's such he gives like random spells that we have
The
to
random
focus on.
breaths.
Yeah, the random breaths. Yeah, I guess it's not bad. It's just we have to have a lot of supplies. We could one shot him like when it comes to our positioning in our getting used to the fight. The it's just the supplies that we have, especially the sand. It's really important. I don't know if we could just buy that off auction house, or maybe
We
just
could
keep
get some
that.
extras, yeah, if we needed them, but I
Yeah.
think we're okay for now.
And the potion that you distributed to the healers helped a lot too towards the end. I saved.
Yeah, the restorative potions.
Yeah, yeah, and we only used I only used one because I was saving them on the last part of that kill.
Yeah, it's great, especially for when those healers are getting low on mana, so they don't have to do those dispels anymore.
Hmm. It makes it easier for the shamans too with their totems, and this dropping that each disease and poison interchangeably. It's helping with our mana reservation because essentially the actual individual skill dispel for disease and poison cleansing.
Yep.
It's the same amount of mana if you put one totem versus one individual dispel or cleansing.
Really? I
Mm.
did not know that.
Yep. But we can't. But it doesn't. It doesn't work on the raid. It just works on the party, obviously. Since we have like seven shaman, it worked quite perfectly.
We did have a lot of shaman this raid. It was very nice.
Yeah, what's his name?
Kazaz, yeah.
Kazaz. Is he in Wind Fury or?
No, he's in that group, Stoneclaw.
Oh, okay. It seems like he has a lot of gear for. He already has the majority of tier 2.
He did come from a different guild that was using the DKP system.
Oh, okay.
So I think he benefited nicely from that.
Nice.
And some unfortunate circumstances happened where he was going to leave the server, but he talked to me when he was on his way out of the door and decided to join the guild. So
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. I was talking to him last night after the fight. He was just like, "Great job." I'm like, "Dude, your like heals are like crazy, man." It helped a lot with his heals.
I was checking the logs, and I think he was at like 375 heal per second or something ridiculous, and that's active. That's not even with.
Compared to like.
Yeah, Sepator did really good that raid too. He was at like 320 or something. He was above average.
It's crazy. That's the when I got my 3-piece tier 2 set, then that's where I started noticing towards the Fire fight, but then it went downhill after a few moments of my mana regen wasn't coming up really well.
Congrats on getting that 3 set this last raid.
Oh yeah, thanks. I was excited about that shoulder. I'm like, oh, it's one of those things when you don't really pay attention to the loot, then you just excited killing the boss. You're just like, oh cool, need 3-piece set, and then oh, Gratz Green Helm. Like, what? Oh sweet, get my 3-piece set.
I do love our system personally, Loot Council.
Yeah, it's been kind of positive. No issues yet. I mean, like, not that I know of. Like, I've never heard anybody complain or anything like that. It's more like everybody's into it, and I guess that the majority of our guild mates that agreed to this anyway were 100% up for it in the first place. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call them complaints, but there's been 1 and 2 times where I've had to explain decisions, which is not that bad a deal,
Yeah, I guess. I mean, well, in your perspective, then on your in your case, since you get to decide on this kind of things now, majority of the time, you probably see more complaints than anybody else.
Well, and that is the job that I signed up for. I knew it coming in, and I don't know, being GM's real nice.
Yeah, this thing. I don't know. Some people call it curse. It just got passed to you, but speaking of that, how much can you share of what happened in Scarab, our previous guild?
Oh, sure. I mean, I could tell the whole story if you'd like.
Go for it. Starting from the beginning, or even like before this happened, because I know a little bit of the details when you explained everything before this whole shit show went through.
Yeah. So let's start with October 19th. It's one of my favorite dates. That's Scarab had been killing Rag for like a couple weeks now, and we had a large influx of players to the Horde, to our particular guild, because we were one of the first guilds that were fully clear in Molten Core. So when that happened, there was a lot of people in the guild asking to start up a raid team, a second raid team, which we had the numbers for, but maybe not the gear and experience to do like we do now. And back then, our GM was Oat, and he was pretty much against the idea of having another team. I never really found out the details as to why, but he was pretty firmly against it. And we had, on that day, October 19th, we had a lot of people G-quit, and then for the next couple days, people trickled out too. We ended up losing, probably upwards of 30 players, which was pretty devastating. And shortly after, we, as a guild, we asked Oat to step down as GM, and he did graciously. I mean, no complaints there. And that's when we had Momo take over. And I think things went great for a long time. Probably until late December-ish. And if you know your timelines, that's when Momo actually got his suspension on the suspicion of botting.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was a huge deal for everyone. That was like a chance on everybody to ponder, and is he doing this, or is he getting fucked or whatnot?
Yeah, there was a lot of flack for that. A lot of people didn't like that, the idea of a GM botting. So after all was said and done, he did not receive a full botting suspension, which is 6 months. He only got like a 10-day thing. So I'm of the assumption that he was never botting. Unfortunately, late December is when some of the officers and we started asking for a little bit more responsibility, delegation of tasks, some diffusion of power, and guild bank transparency. Those are the 3 big things we have ever asked for. Obviously, we never got those things, and we kind of pushed our feelings down because Blackwing Lair was right around the corner, around mid to late January. We finally got the news about Blackwing Lair, and everybody was excited. So, for the sake of our raid team, clearing Blackwing Lair, like I said, we pushed those feelings down, we moved on. A lot of people think that we wanted to replace Momo because of some kind of like loot whore complex or something like that. And that was just never the case. At least not until recently. Basically, we always agreed that the main tank should get prio on tanking items. We always agreed. And we never had a problem with Loot Council because it worked. Me being the second tank, if anybody should have had a problem with Loot Council's decisions, it should have been me, and I never did. Like I said, that was until we had BWL basically on farm. And that's when it kind of stopped being a Loot Council, and it started being a master looter. He kind of started just YOLOing out items and making decisions by himself. And I get this information from the Loot Council members, obviously. I'm not just talking. And obviously that didn't sit well with a lot of people. So that's when I asked all the officers at the time of Scarab, I asked them to just have a chat with me, discuss how we wanted to go forward, and see if we could make some differences. What we did was we tried to talk to Momo that night. He just really wasn't responding. I don't know if he was busy or like it was kind of like having a conversation with a person that wasn't paying attention. That's what it really felt like. And that was kind of insulting, especially to all of us that were talking to him.
Now, before you continue,
yeah,
I got a quick question.
Sure.
Now, how much did you interact with Momo from the time being that you've been within the guild, the first time you met him, and so on?
So from day one of me joining Scarab, I became the off tank of that raid team. So I was just kind of in the right place at the right time, I'd say. And he and I had talked every day. Easy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and like just personal stuff, like, acting like pretty much like...
Not at first.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I would say right around the November and December time frame, the guy was probably one of my best friends. We talked about everything.
Right, the typical human interaction, you talk in neutral and then you like each other, you become friends. That's pretty much what happened, right? So to the point where you were trying to explain to that you whispered him, no answer from him, like he just ignoring you, insulting.
We actually got him into a private call on Discord. It was myself, several of the Scarab at the time officers, And like I said, we asked for the same things that we asked for in December. We wanted some guild transparency. We wanted to move some of the decision and power making abilities to these officers, delegate some tasks because we felt like he was doing too much and he was burning out.
It makes a lot of sense. I interviewed a guy who was kind of agreed on the stuff that was going on in their guild. They don't allow one person to do everything. Yeah, it's like that's right. That's like a job. That's like a freaking endless job. You'd have to be focused on specific things, and it's not great. It's not healthy.
And then I guess the very last straw was our final BWL is Scarab. And for anybody that doesn't really believe this, they can just check logs. It's public. I would say that it was the worst BWL that we had as that raid team.
And this was how many weeks was this after BWL
was released? I believe it was our 6th, maybe 5th clear, something like that.
Oh, wow. So. Since the day one then.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, if we look at logs, all I'll really say is that our main tank, Momo, did not come wanting to play that night. He came in it was the deepest of prot spec I've ever seen in my life. There was like barely any threat he was able to generate. We looked at things like active time on Veil, and he had pressed less keys than ever before in his entire raiding career by almost half. So, like I said, it felt like he didn't come to play. And a lot of people didn't take that too kindly. They felt like it was some kind of message like, look, you can't do this without me, kind of thing. I don't know the truth of it because I never bothered to ask.
Yeah, and I mean, why would you? It's one of these things that the other person has to realize if things go south this way. And, I mean, the way that, they always say that, a lot of people out there should treat people the same way as they treat you. And
right.
A lot of people kind of agree to that. And I do that a lot of times. If I don't like being treated the way, I would do the same to them, especially like personal stuff. I mean, right, to this day, you could argue that it's just a game, but you've been talking to the guy since day one for how long? Like 7 months. Practically your best friend, your friend, like closest to you, but
yep.
When shit like this happened, that's kind of sad, man. It's upsetting. People don't realize how freaking emotional distress that you could get from this game.
I agree, and I would say we all felt kind of disrespected because we felt the same way. We felt we deserve the respect, and we deserve to be treated the way we would treat anybody else, and that's when this was born.
Yeah. There's a lot of truth to that, what you've explained already, because when I talked to him on the podcast, he mentioned something that I just remembered, like after he quit, and when you gave me when you whispered me that night, you said, "Oh, we gotta talk and explain things." And
yeah,
I jumped in, and then you were like, "Oh, this happened." I'm like, that makes sense, because one thing that he mentioned that when he took over Scarab, he's like, you gotta be careful on who. Pretty much what he's trying to say is, don't trust anyone, and people are always trying to get in and try to control over stuff. When I was talking to him, that's what I got from that.
Well, I mean, you can't really be afraid of change, I guess, because sometimes it's good and necessary. I do agree with the mentioning of trust, though.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to surround yourself with people that you can trust. And I feel like we have done that here.
Yeah.
We diffused a lot of that power.
I mean, yeah, considering it's 6 months, and you've stayed with him. You even I remember you mentioning a few of you guys have been kind of telling him to take a break. I mean,
We did.
it's still your guild, but dude, just take a break. He didn't took that lightly. He just kind of retaliated after that.
During the conversation, we kind of got ignored, is what it felt like to me.
Hmm.
And then, like I said, the next couple of days, we had that BWL that was the worst one ever, and that felt like a retaliation. That felt like a slap in the face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, that's really unfortunate. I like the guy. He had the guild leader attitude.
I guess I won't mention names, but
Mm-hmm.
I had been accused of just trying to grab at power, take over a guild and hold it hostage for myself.
Yeah,
But
you have to have the benefit of the doubt too. So it comes into place where the only thing that the only thing that people have a chance with is just trusting somebody. The same thing with. I mean, I can't even like really explain it. I mean, it's already like, how long has it been? If it was just like a fresh thing that happened, then I would have more. I would have more thought to it. But right now, like, Purge is our guild, and that Scarab is the past, and we're here.
I'm glad we're all here. I'm not 100% proud of the way everything went down, but I think it was a necessary change that we made.
Yeah,
And I think I needed to do that for all of our guys, for our raid team. They deserved to know what was going on with the guild bank, and like, I don't know if we mentioned it, but when we split, we did not get any of it at all. It was all on Momo's account. He sold basically everything that he could before he server transferred to Whitemane. I'm sure he kept the rest of it. But so everything that team earned as a guild only went to one guy. And we have taken several precautionary steps in Purge to ensure that never happens again.
Mm-hmm. And how many stuff? I mean, it was there a lot of items that?
It was an incredible amount.
Damn.
Yeah.
From MC farming for both groups, right?
Correct. Both groups, everything went to that guild bank. If I had to guess, it was easily over 50k gold worth of supplies. Easily. And that's all gone. That really sucks. But like I said, we've taken several steps here in Purge to ensure that if I go wild one day and I boot everybody out of the guild, that I don't have the guild banks. It's spread across multiple people.
The thing about that is, that's perfect, because one thing that people don't know about people is that if you're already planning with this kind of stuff that might happen, it's less likely it's gonna happen, because
I agree.
You're trying to fight for that kind of shit,
And I think I had a lot to prove, I guess. I had to prove to all these people that we could do this better.
Yeah, and part of that, I agreed to go with whatever you guys are thinking, is that part that Momo said, that about the I can't let anybody control this,
Mm-hmm.
or that. I'm thinking, besides, like, I mean, he's the one who got me into the guild, but at the same time, I've shown my what's that word I'm looking for?
Loyalty, maybe?
Yes, loyalty. Yes, I've shown my loyalty, because joining, part of that deal was not getting loot for 2 weeks, and
Yeah, I remember having to enforce that. Actually,
yeah. So I'm like, I don't care. I just want to raid. I just want something to do, And then I felt like I paid that price, and I didn't owe him anymore. So I'm like, that's probably enough,
Yeah, and when we talk about guild loyalty, I'm of the opinion that the guild should not show specifically loyalty to me as a guild master. We owe it to each other, is how I look at it. And if one day I somehow turn into this tyrannical, crazy person, I hope that they oust me and they make a better guild.
Mm-hmm. And also part of that really is, it's respecting the guild rules. But I didn't know about him, just one person putting this one rule all to himself, and it's just one rule for him. I thought it was just like, oh, this must be like a guild rule thing, so I'm gonna respect it, and I didn't really care about that 2 weeks loot. Just want to be in the guild, and after that, being in the raid 2 has been a blast. And it's funny going back to that 2 weeks punishment, whatever you call it. That you were so loyal that you had to go through that with him just to make sure that I don't get any loot, or you're following the same rules.
Yeah, at the time I was leading that raid, so I had to ensure that you went to 4 different raids, 2 weeks worth of raids with no loot. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was justified or whatever. I think he said that you had quit the guild twice already or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember his reasoning.
It's well, because of my part of it's my fault anyway. That's why I agreed to it like 100%. And a friend of mine used to be in Problem Solver.
Yeah.
And did I tell you this about already?
I don't think so.
Okay. He's a Resto Druid. And he's a real friend of mine. He just quit recently. When he joined Problem Solver, we were in both guild. Another real friend of ours created this guild, and we were like level 30, 40, and then we hit level 60. My other friend quit playing, and now my druid friend went to. Actually, we were guildless, and I was like, I'm gonna join Scarab. I told him to join it too, but he didn't say anything after that. So I was in a guild, Scarab, and a few weeks later, my druid friend joined Problem Solvers. And then I'm like, dude, I want to raid with you, man. And it's like, can I join your guild? And it's like, oh yeah, sure. So this was after a few weeks of raiding with Scarab then with you guys. I think we were still kind of looking for people to raid with. We're not complete. Yeah, I think we only had like 25 people or something.
Yeah.
We were still pugging. And that's the second raid that I was in with everybody. And then I was like, oh yeah, I need to raid with my friend, and so I did, and then joined theirs. And that night that we were supposed to raid, I had no idea the rules yet. I think they had 2 groups, or I think they had the same thing as us. Like they have like Flex Raider. If their main group, their main raid isn't full by that amount of time, they would invite Flex Raiders.
Right.
But then
that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, but then that night, they were full. Oh, they got everything that they needed. I thought, being a real friend with a druid healer, I thought that, I'm gonna get a spot. Not thinking that there's no side to this, especially where most of the guild they're not just gonna take any players out there. They're just real friends with other players. I thought that I had that spot because the way they're talking about it. Oh yeah, we're excited you're here. We're gonna raid. But the same night, I'm like, I was a downer, and I tried to. Oh yeah, there's another thing with this too, because their schedule wasn't the right time for me, and I was trying to fit my schedule with his, and he doesn't have like any, like he's not married, he's not he has his schedule is pretty much free, right? And my situation, I had to make up for my time because I have 2 kids and
Right,
stuff.
you're more limited.
Yes,
Yeah.
I realized this. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, I'm following this guy. Like he should be following me, but then I get kind of frustrated. I'm like, man, I shouldn't have left Scarab. Just part of it's my fault. I'm like, it's probably a karma. I told him, I'm like, dude, if you're not gonna raid, if you're not gonna join me, then I'm just gonna do what I want. I think he was thinking about quitting before then too, so that probably helped a lot when I left Problem Solvers then and rejoined Scarab. And the funny thing was, I talked to Momo. I explained it to him what happened the first time that I quit. Ult invited me, and then I was trying to ask him a question, but then he was just ignoring me. I think this was the time that you guys were deciding who's the new the guild leader is. Like I think you guys were voting on Momo.
Yeah.
Then I think this was happening. That's why he was ignoring me. So I left. I'm like, I thought he was just like being a dick or something. The second one was when I raided with you guys. The first raid that I entered with you was like a pug, and then I'm like, oh, I like these guys, so I asked to join.
He came.
Yeah, I came, and then a month later or 2 weeks later, I quit to join Problem Solvers, and that happened. So I had to talk to Momo. I'm like, dude, can you invite me back to the guild? It's like, it's like quiet. And it's like 2 minutes later, it's like, didn't you quit like twice? I'm like, what? Oh no, once. And then I was trying to remember. I'm like, no, wait, you're right, twice. But the first one, it doesn't count because Ult was still the guild leader. And then it's like, fine, you can rejoin back. I'm like, yes, but let's make a deal.
But no loot.
No loot 2 weeks. So yeah, that was it.
It's been a hell of a ride for you, I guess.
Yeah, shit, man. Like right now, the BWL with Molten Core, it's gonna be way more fun once we hit all that by just grinding on it and just farming it. We'd be geared up for the next they don't call it patches, but phase.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to ZG coming out. We're gonna get some nice gear for our casters in there for sure.
Yeah. Did you play vanilla, right?
I did not. So when WoW Classic released was the first time I've ever played World of Warcraft.
You never played retail either at all? Nothing? Or
right. This
okay.
is the first of anything. So that's why all this is so exciting for me, I guess. Everything's fresh. Everything's new. I've never done it before.
From your perspective on any other games out there, how does this compare to any other MMOs? If you played any other?
I've played a couple, but I never got into one as much as I did this, I guess. If we're talking like graphically, obviously your newer games are way better. This is 15 years old or
yeah.
There's something about it. I don't know.
Yeah, and luckily that they grabbed some of the designs on the 3D models from the retail and put it here. Some of them, anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why it looks a little smoother than back in then.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I don't care what the real looks is, but I think it has something to do with the way that their graphics cards are now. The way that it processes everything, it's so different. They virtualized it. I'm not 100% sure, but we were talking about it back when they were creating this game. Or recreating it, I guess.
I wonder how they did it, you know what I mean? Like, was it just sitting on a server somewhere and they re-uploaded it?
They had to get back the hardware that they created at the old vanilla servers because they auctioned that. They auctioned it, and then they want. I heard something that they needed it back or whatever, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
It's incredible, actually. All to bring this back to life.
Yeah, and it's more fun for me than playing retail. The thought alone of being in there with 40 people and interacting with each other, it's just crazy. Especially in an own realm. You can do that in retail, but it's so random, man. You don't know if they are from another planet or country, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
But the idea of this, that being in one server, I mean, regardless of if you're in Italy or or somewhere else, but isn't in the same server, the majority of the people in here are local, and they pick where they play the closest to them. It's
Right, and I'm a big fan of a server-based game, I guess, because it creates that sense of community.
hmm it does, yeah. And I think that's one of this uh one of the things that captures this game a lot is the community. And my experience has been great, and it's been.
Right. Our little server alone, we've got Bacteria and his team doing the newspaper.
I
Got you
know.
with your podcasts. And
Yeah, that's crazy.
there's somebody that actually does a parody paper. Don't know if you've seen. They took Bacteria's idea basically, and they made the jokes out of it, which is nice.
Yeah,
But all the stuff that just came out of a game where, none of us knew each other. Now here we are.
I
It's
know.
pretty great.
I thought that I was gonna quit this game after like a few months that it came out. I didn't know exactly what was gonna happen, and then I met you guys. It's just like, oh shit, it's been a blast. And it's unfortunate that people left the server, which is crazy to me because, I mean, it should be just part of the game with this whole uh, taking over, quote unquote, taking over power thing, right? And if Momo it would have just stayed in here and kept his character, that would have been a lot better because it would have gave him that sense of it would have been like it's more of a realistic than having to tap out and go to another server.
Yeah, and I'm sure it would have been really hard to step down like that and just become another guy in the guild. We would have benefited for sure. And I guess to all the people out there that quit before they could really see the beauty of what we've created, I feel sorry for them.
Yeah, I know.
I wish they could be here to see it.
Yeah. And yeah, like I said too, part of that the reason why I'm all in for it, that's it's you've been kind of there on Raid 2, and I don't know if people agree to this, but there's kind of a connotation to it. But we're the underdog of the
Of the two
Raid,
teams.
of the two teams, yeah. And
Yeah.
I like being the underdog, man. I know that you have to play two characters to kind of take your time on raiding and doing this shit. Like it's nuts how I don't even know how you could have the time to manage that on your own. Not the time, just the thinking of it, like the whole process of it. I mean, I could be in multiple alt and just raid, but being part of the master loot and all the crap, I don't know.
Sometimes it can be a little, I don't know, overwhelming, I guess, but
Now, have you thought about assigning that to one of your officers to be the raid leader, so you just sit back and not quite do as much job that you.
so that is something that I did implement is I stepped out of the loot council for both teams. So now, yeah, I'm still raid leading. So basically, I'm just making calls, describing the fights to the new people, just doing stuff like that. But I don't have to. All I have to do is pick up the loot, put it in my inventory, and then I move. And the loot council makes their decisions.
That's good, I guess.
So I did take a big step back there. It was getting to be overwhelming.
Cool. And I like the fact that everyone, like the majority of or most of the officers right now can set up a calendar. I've noticed that on the names. It's like, oh, this guy's setting this up. It's like, oh, cool. That way it's more on time, I guess. I noticed that. I don't know if this this was Momo's idea, but it seems like there's no calendar was set up like right before, like the night before, a couple days before the raid or something. But
yeah, back then it was only him that was allowed to any kind of calendar events. So if he didn't do it, it just didn't get done.
Yeah.
And just one of those other things that I didn't think I handed out that responsibility to a bunch of the officers and moved on.
Yeah, that's cool. It's like a month worth of a schedule. I'm like, oh, sign up. People aren't gonna miss that. I mean, there's probably a few of them that are gonna just ignore it, or I don't even know if it's ignoring it, or maybe they don't have the add-on.
I mean, I hope the calendar is simple enough to understand that they can do their sign-ups. Yeah, sometimes it gets missed.
Yeah. Okay, so kind of getting distracted on this conversation there. What my essential questions are not coming up. I got one. Hold on, let me just drink of water.
Yeah.
So the Purge.
The Purge.
What's behind the idea of this name? And I mean, feel free to credit the person who created this, or.
So after the officers and I had our discussion where we decided the best course of action would be probably to move on and create our own guild, we were discussing potential names for the and it was Dirk that came up with Purge.
All right, Dirk.
Yep. Congrats to you, Dirk. Thank you for the great guild name, but it was kind of a double entendre, I guess. Obviously, we considered ourselves to be. I don't want to say anything negative, but we were purging out the toxicity of our old guild, the fact that we were trying to make change happen and that we couldn't get it to happen. So we came into this with a more open mind of how we wanted to be and the transparency we wanted to implement. And that's where the double entendre of Purge came into existence.
Cool. Yeah, I don't mind the name. It's shaman. Shit, do they have a shaman? So can't say no to that.
And then in continuing with the shaman theme, we've named our two current raid teams after two shaman totems. We got Wind Fury and Stoneclaw so far. Hopefully in the future, if we get enough new recruits, we're getting pretty close, actually. We can make a third raid team that I would like to call Magma, just to keep the theme going.
That'd be cool. We have fire, wind, earth, and
exactly.
Fourth one might come, but it's all wishful thinking, I guess.
Yeah, everything in time, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to your main question, that is how we came up with Purge.
Was there any other names that might have been?
Oh gosh, if you had asked me a couple of weeks ago, we had a list of.
Do you remember anything on top of your head?
There was We Like Turtles.
Nice.
I joked around saying we should do just EterniT because it was my name.
Oh yeah, nice.
A self-named guild.
Yeah, that's fun.
Oh man, Crybabies was one that was mentioned because that was one of our experiences with one of our final experiences. He was kind of angry with the team at the time was called Raid 2, and he actually ended up calling them a bunch of crybabies.
Oh, that's funny.
So that was the joke. We were just gonna take it and own it. There were a couple more suggestions thrown out there, but we unanimously loved Purge.
Would have been less QQ, more pew pew.
That'd have been a good one.
Yeah, but that's so like known that it's so generic now. Like it's
Yeah, too overdone.
yeah. So yeah, that's this has been really great. We are going in the right track.
Absolutely.
Do you do a lot of PvPing with your mage or with your warrior?
So I did the AV grind on both of them because I wanted those nice items. But other than that, no, I really don't. I don't really go out looking for world PvP or anything like that.
How long did it take you to get your? I assume both of your characters are exalted.
They are, yeah.
Okay. How long did it take you for one character? I mean, can you estimate like a time? So I was thinking about just doing AV, and that's probably the most enjoyable BGs for me.
Oh, for sure. I think it probably took about a week.
A week? It's straight
of
up.
the 1 hour queues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those long queues are unfortunate, but luckily, when I was playing anyway, the Horde AVs, so I was getting good rep. But that's just what I did for a week. I did those 1 hour queues. I mean, I'd go AFK or like I'd go farm stuff in the meantime, but it was my primary focus.
I thought about that, getting this. It's called rubber ducky USB.
Yeah.
It's like a keyboard emulator that you can put code in it. You could have it so it presses like every 2 seconds or every 5 seconds. I thought about getting that, but it's like $40. I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's technically botting because you actually have.
Yeah, it's physical.
Right.
It's I seen this one video at Reddit. They were using their fan, the fan that goes.
Oh, that's old school.
Side. Yeah, and they attach it to their mouse. I was just like,
Yeah,
shit, I can do that.
that is old school right there.
Yeah. So technically, that's still the same thing as the USB thing. It's not. It's something that
Yeah,
external.
that's good. That's funny.
Trying to think about maybe talking about your military side of some personal
Sure.
stuff, but
Not
not
my
too
personal
personal.
life.
Yeah. I don't know how much you can share, but
I'll just do my best and not
Yeah.
be too personal, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Well,
so basically, I
okay.
was active duty Marine Corps for 5 years. Recently, I'm no longer active duty, but I was a sergeant, which is E5, and my job was, they're called POGs, personnel other than grunt. I was a POG, and I fixed anything that you can think of that you look through. So any optic on top of like a rifle, or like night vision devices, or the Saber missile systems, stuff like that. It was my job to fix them and maintain them.
Is there like some type of training before you can even prepare to before you even know the starting point of those repairs, or is there like
I
a
got
class
you.
that you have to take, or
So what they do is after you go to boot camp, for the Marines, we go to combat training after, and then we call it MOS school, so Military Occupational Special School.
mm-hmm.
And for me, that school was about 6 months long, and that's where I learned how to fix them. And basically, every device that I would fix comes with a technical manual, and
Okay.
we use that manual to troubleshoot problems, see what the fix is, order new parts, and that's just basically how we do it. Something comes in, the guy doesn't know what to do. okay, it's and then it was our job to figure out what was.
That's cool, man. That's at least you have a like a pre. Hold on. What are you playing right now? Are you playing both games, or are you playing WoW?
I'm currently in WoW, yeah.
Okay. I heard like a freaking Doom game or something.
I don't know. I think my headset was messing up.
Okay. Because I remember you mentioning that you play like simultaneous games sometimes.
Occasionally, I can. But,
Yeah. But
I mean, I'm pretty much all WoW these days.
yeah. But anyway, like that's kind of crazy how like you guys don't need any like pre-existing experience to start working there. Yeah, like you said, you have this school thing that you go through, and that's pretty neat. I wish like all the companies had that, like like getting experience as far as getting experience when you hires on private companies would be like, oh, we want experience of 5 years, 2 years. It's like, what if you're you just graduated college? It's like you don't have any experience at all.
Well, there's a little bit of that, I guess. Have you heard of the ASVAB? Well, I don't know what it stands for, but it's a test that they make you take prior to letting you get into the.
Oh, okay.
And the purpose of the test is to determine like what your best job would be. Right. And you had to get a certain score on the ASVAB in order to get into my job field.
That's kind of like acts like a, what was that, counselor or what do you call those people that kind of directs you in what you wanted to do in college?
Like a guidance counselor?
Guidance counselor, yeah.
Right. So they use that test, and if you didn't do a good job, then they only let you do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do too bad of a job, they won't even let you into the military.
I see. What are the psychological tests that you have to do? Or that you have to pass?
It wasn't very intricate. I mean, there's just a psychologist that you end up talking to, which none of us even knew that he was one, and he just asked some very generic questions to make sure that you're not depressed, basically.
Was he just like a person to person that you talk to one-on-one, or it was just somebody there that's asked question, like trying to gain info, I guess?
So how they did it was, before you're allowed to enlist, you have to go through. It's a whole day at a special location where they have doctors on hand and like people that, like I said, the psychologists. They make you do a drug test. So it's all happens in this one place. And I was so used to talking to people for the whole day that I got sent into another room to talk to this guy, and he asked those questions. And then when I left, I was like, oh, he probably had some kind of doctorate in psychology.
Yeah. Any crazy stories that you can share?
Yeah, we had some good times, I guess. I mean, there's always the classic, when I was in that schoolhouse that I told you about, they would let us go out on weekends and do whatever we wanted, and I was 21 at the time, fresh 21-year-old, so all I wanted to do was drink. And there was one night I came back, and I was pretty drunk, and my roommate was sleeping in his bed, and I jumped on him like we were going to fight, but he was out cold, and since he was sober and angry that I woke him up, so he actually just beat the shit out of me.
Oh shit!
It was a good time.
Yeah. How much do you remember from that point? I mean, did you get like any bruise? Did you bruise or anything like that? Or
I probably had some scrapes and bruises here and there, but I don't remember it at all. I actually had a good friend of mine that was a sergeant. He was riding his motorcycle in California, and he got rear-ended. He flew off the motorcycle. The car ran him over, and he was all banged up. And we went to see him in the hospital, and he was unconscious, but every part of his body looked like it was in a cast to me. And he had these big, like, thick rods going through his leg bones because I guess they were so messed up. And I mean, he ended up pulling through. They told him he'd never walk again, but he ended up not only walking, he actually ran again. He was able to run. So he did his final Marine Corps physical fitness test.
And there's no side effects to that at all. It was fully functional.
He's still got like a bit of a limp.
Mm-hmm. But otherwise, it doesn't like hurt him or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's good.
It's amazing.
There's a kind of a not safe for work story if you're interested that I don't mind sharing.
Yeah. I mean, if I can share this, it's nothing.
It's pretty bad, but I mean, whatever is what it is. So when I was freshly promoted to corporal, which is E4, one rank before the rank I was before I got out, I was sent to Arizona for something called Fleet Week, which is basically you kind of it's for the public, I guess. We put on our uniforms and we go and we do ceremonies and we hang out with the people. You know, we just have a good time. Really, is all it is. And I met a girl out there, and she asked to come back with me to the hotel room, and I let it happen. And she actually sprained my penis.
No shit.
No shit, it happened. And for 2 weeks, let's just say it didn't function the way it used to for 2 straight weeks. And I went to our medical center in the Marine Corps, and I tried to bring it up to the doctors, and they're like, "So you think you got an STD?" I'm like, "No, it just hurt." and he's like, so the guy takes a look at it, and he's like, "All right, there's some swelling, but you should be fine. Here's some ibuprofen." It's basically all he gave me, anti-swelling, and no long-term effects. I'm happy to say I'm fully functional, but that happened.
Did you ask for a cast?
I asked if I needed something like a cast, and he said, "Nah, it's just swelling, and you'd be fine." And he guessed 2 weeks, and it was about.
Oh, man,
it was a hell of a time.
Well, I don't think I can top that at all because whenever something that includes your junk, that getting hurt.
That's my Marine Corps story. Other regular injuries happened, yeah. But...
And the funny thing is, when you're talking about this, like if somebody asks you what's your worst Marine Corps story, people are gonna think that you getting shot at, you getting bombed at, you getting fucking just destroyed. But you're like, when you tell the story, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
that makes it hilarious, man.
I had some other minor injuries, I guess, but that was the fun one. Yeah. I think a lot of my experience there helped me here in game, like just the leadership you learn and knowing that you want to put your guys first, your guild first. I think it really helped.
Yeah, it is, and I can. I mean, I don't have any military background, but in the same situation for me where. Hold on. In the same situation for me where I can apply this into like from my having kids and treating.
Oh yeah.
Everybody else like, basically, don't be a dick. Attitude.
That's the easiest way, yeah.
Yeah. That's all of it. And sometimes I see myself find myself sometimes being the dick, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Stop. It's like, you can't do that. Stop. I was trying to talk myself into it, just one of those things that sometimes you have to do if you're noticing, especially when people are not, okay, like, I've noticed this before, but I never paid attention to it. Whenever I get pissed or I get upset, and a lot of people don't agree with me with what I did,
Yeah.
right? Or what I've done. And I've never thought about this before, but if I said the next time that people are, saying something to me and multiple people are saying something to me, it's like maybe it's true. Even like people that don't know each other would say things that I'm doing something that it's not good.
It's always good to be able to be objective about yourself.
Yeah. So from what I learned from that, it's just like if somebody's saying that something that's didn't like about me or what I was doing, and multiple people are saying it, from now on I'm gonna grab that information, and I'm gonna like fix it. I'm gonna try to fix it, and the way I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be right next time. I've noticed, it helped a lot. It helped a lot. That information.
Have you ever seen the movie Lucky Number 11?
Yes.
There's actually a quote from that movie I really like. It's the first time someone calls you a horse, you punch them in the face.
Yeah.
The second person that calls you a horse, you call them a jerk. But when a third person calls you a horse, that's when you go shopping for us.
Shopping for what? You cut out there for a minute.
A saddle.
A
go
saddle.
shopping for a saddle.
Okay.
Because you're a horse.
Oh yeah, and how are you guys holding up with this whole freaking pandemic going on?
It is what it is. We have plenty of food here.
That's good.
I'm good.
That's good, man. It's good to hear. It's another thing about our players here, or especially the ones that have been working nonstop.
Yeah, we've lost a lot of our guys.
Yeah, can't even get into a raid anymore because of this crap. But they're out there helping. We should really appreciate. So shout out to those guys.
Specifically in our guild, Levation comes to mind for sure.
Yeah,
medical field.
Yeah, Levation. Yeah, and that's a couple more.
Yep. Dia in our guild as well was working as a lab tech.
Mm-hmm.
She's actually working on coronavirus right now.
That's crazy. Yeah. So thanks everybody for being out there all the time.
Absolutely.
Shit, like right now, working for a school, it's nothing. It's probably nothing compared to the other guys out there because we're only setting up a few computers to set up so students can continue their work from home since this whole thing got extended.
Right.
I think we have at least 4,000, 5,000 Chromebook that we have to configure and prepare for this kind of stuff.
That's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean it's nothing because we push them in the cart and we don't lift them. Like there's not many if they're all in the cart. And the buildings are pretty separated, pretty good. So we hold our district here. I think we have like 14, 15 buildings we have to go through, but it gives us something to do too, I guess, with this whole thing going on. Lucky to have a job. Just keeping positive and trying to help people. It's crazy, man.
Good luck to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. They said it'll take like at least a year to create a vaccine, right? Or maybe even less than a year, at least.
I know that these things take time, but hopefully it's not a year.
Yeah, I know. And the wishing that this will end on the summer because potentially it'll kill it with warm weather, but who knows?
I doubt it, honestly.
Yeah, it might be too powerful. But yeah, I think that's all the stuff that I can think of. If this Is there anything that you wanted to say before we depart? Any shout outs or anything at all?
Nothing I can really think of, but if you do want to see Purge in action, I do live stream all of our raids. So it's literally just Twitch TV and my name, EterniT.
Cool. With the E, can you spell that real quick?
Yep. ETERNIT.
Cool. All right, man. Thanks for doing this again.
Absolutely.
And I will see you. When is the next raid? Monday?
Yep, Monday.
All right, man. I'm going to bed.
Yeah, night, dude.
Yep. Later.